In this Webbavision here on OG55, today we are talking about the future of Merlin Entertainments. Are they going to go up? Are they going to go down? Or are they just kind of not do anything, just kind of remain the same? Well, we're going to find out here on OG55 Webbavision. Welcome back, everybody, to another Webbavision episode on OG55. Today, I have a great panel. Today, I got OG55 right over here, and I got Matthew Muir down over here. Matthew, could you please, well, first of all, thank you so much for joining. Could you let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram under the name Matthew Thomas Muir, all one word, and you can also find me on Blue Sky under Matt Muir NC4.
There we go.
Perfect. OG, this is the man right here. Sir, thank you so much for joining. Where can everybody find you at home on social media?
Thank you for having me on Webbavision, Eva. Always a good time talking. Today we're talking Merlin. It'll be a lot of fun. And Matthew, thank you for joining us. It's always good to have Matthew Muir on the channel. He is family here at OG55. We love Matthew Muir all the way from the UK. But yeah, you can find me on YouTube, obviously right here at Orange Grove 55. You can also find me on X. Technically, you can find me on X. I don't really use it that much anymore. It's a toxic cesspool over there, but you could still find me over there. It's at Orange Grove 55, and on Blue Sky, Orange Grove 55, and on Instagram, which is where I'm the most active now, Orange Grove 55.
Awesome. There it is. So guys, today we're going to talk about Merlin, the future of Merlin, right? I did a solo web shots video not too long ago about the new CEO that we had coming up, right? And this is actually pretty important because, whenever there's a new CEO that comes into, to a company, leadership always wants to make like these organizational structural changes within the company, right? Whether it's from executives to like lower end, like frontline operations, right? They always want to put their foot stamp on stuff. And OG, yeah. I think you brought that up before as well.
Yeah.
However, I actually kind of wanted to go over a few things regarding that. And actually, Matthew is actually one of the perfect guys to have with us today because this guy is from the UK, where Merlin's from. So let's go ahead and check it out real quick. I just want to give you guys. Can everybody see this? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So this is from Fiona Eastwood. She has now been appointed the new CEO of Merlin Entertainments. Scott O'Neill was he was the CEO for the last 2 years. He exited at the end of December 2024. So I kind of want to go over her quote here because I think we can talk about this. It's an honor to be chosen to lead Merlin. It is truly a world-class company with remarkable global reach and impact. Over the past decade, I have seen firsthand what the business is capable of. My task as CEO is to lead Merlin to new heights with a focus on performance, creativity, operational excellence, and guest experience. Oh, I want to talk about that. I'm grateful to be part of I'm grateful to the board for their support and look forward to continuing to work with a exceptional management team and our colleagues worldwide to implement the business's transformational strategy. Together, we will drive growth at a scale and help Merlin reach its full potential.
Now, Eba, I want to ask you out the gate, because I think a lot of our audience probably has probably heard of Merlin, but maybe they're not familiar with what Merlin kind of the family of parks that they sort of control, right? So we know Legoland is in that portfolio, but what else falls under that Merlin umbrella?
Well, I'm glad you asked because I have something else to show the audience. Are you ready? Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. And also, Matthew, you could speak to this as well, sir, because since you're over there in the UK. So check it out. They have Legoland parks. They have a bunch of other resorts and something called gateway attractions. Okay. They operate over 120 attractions, more than 20 countries around the world. Okay, that's a lot. If we look down here, so look, as you can see, we got Legoland parks. We have gateway attractions, which is like Peppa Pig, Shrek's Adventures. You have like
the dungeons.
Yeah, the dungeons. You have Madame Tussauds. You have sea lice. You have the London Eye Tower, Sydney Eye Tower, kind of stuff
Even
like
Blackpool Tower.
that. Yes. See, there you go, Matthew. Exactly. And then, as you can see here on the right side, we have resort theme parks. Now, Matthew, I know that you'd be you're very familiar with these ones. These, as you can see, kind of crazy coasters here, right? And then these are the parks. Matthew, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but all these parks showcased here are in the UK. Is this correct?
Well, all of them except for Gardaland and Heidi Park. I think Heidi Park is located in Germany and Gardaland is located in Italy.
Okay, perfect. Yes. So these are all the kind of like their main attractions, I would say. Matthew, that they're really known for. So, but speaking to that, right? OG, you were saying Merlin, right? They operate again across the world, from the United States to Australia, like all across the European countries, even Asia. Like this year, China just opened their new Shanghai Legoland park. So, and it is to be the biggest Legoland out of like the 10 Legoland parks that there is now. So I wanted to talk about this because I want to talk about her quote, right? The new CEO. And she's talking about, getting it up to like new heights, right? So Matthew, I know that you had some words in our DMs that we were talking about yesterday. Would you like to elaborate on what you've been seeing with Merlin in the past years that haven't really been that great, honestly? And I've heard the same thing.
Yeah, I honestly think it all started around 2012 when Merlin's operations were still good, but they were starting to get a bit complacent, if that's the right word.
Mm-hmm.
Like some bright eyes at Alton Towers, their maintenance was starting to become a bit poor. For example, one of the rides themed around Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, one of the projection screens in the queue line for that wasn't working, and then I realise only now that Merlin have really skimped on safety, because in 2015 came the horrific Smiler accident.
Yes.
And that's the one accident from which Alton Towers, I don't think, has ever truly recovered.
Well, and that's an issue. I mean, Matthew, that, when you have, that's the thing that a lot of these theme park operators, including Disney, should really keep an eye on, because when you have, and I'm not sure about the details of it, but you were saying it was pretty horrific, so it must have been really bad. But like, whenever you have, whenever you break that trust with your guests, where they don't feel comfortable going on your attractions anymore, that's a huge problem. I mean, even right now, the airlines are going through that right now. A lot of people are hesitant to even fly right now because of all the airline accidents, right? So it's like once you break that trust, it becomes really difficult to sort of regain that. That's why it's so important to get ahead of that, be proactive, and sort of make sure these kind of things don't happen. And, people take their families to these places. They trust Merlin and Disney and Universal and Cedar Fair, literally with their lives and with their children's lives. Yeah. And these companies need to take that very, very, very seriously. So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And even I was seeing because I watched some videos and I looked up online. And the crazy thing to me is that, yes, it is impressive that Merlin has all these attractions worldwide. Here's kind of the problem, and Matthew, you can probably bounce off of me with this, is that a lot of the theme park, like even like their Thorpe Park and like their bigger theme parks, they don't operate all year round. And then even then, like a lot of times if they do, they close pretty early, like at 5-6 o'clock.
Yeah. What happens is, I think all of their UK parks close around, are only open from mid-March through to like early November, and then they close for a huge maintenance period.
Yeah, so I get that. I get right having huge maintenance periods, but here's the thing: is that my question is then, is Merlin spreading itself too thin?
Because I think it is.
Because if you have like attractions operating globally, right? And I understand their business strategy, right? Their business strategy that was in the last 2 years was kind of having pockets of like attractions, having like a main park, a gateway, and like a water park or whatever, right? That's kind of, at least over here, that's kind of been what they've been trying to do. And they try to get like these kind of areas where like there's a lot of touristy or high traffic of people, and they own these certain like attractions, and then that's how you get the amount of people, and that's how Merlin for 2023 became the number 3 in the top 10 theme park operators worldwide. So I get the strategy. However, if you're having like a sea life in, like, I know there's one in North Carolina, like one thing over there, like what's the point in that? Yeah, I don't really understand.
Well, there's a lot of weird decisions. That don't they have a park in New York?
Yes, they have a Legoland park in New York, upstate New York, and it's actually upstate, and it's actually an hour, literally like an hour out into the countryside in New York, and it's not even open all year long.
Yeah, and see, here's the thing, like, and this is where I think Merlin sort of like this was a really dumb decision, because from what I'm hearing from you and like Lucas Kim, our friend Lucas Kim, who actually lives in New York, that park is not doing very well.
No,
right? So if I'm Merlin Entertainment, and I want to tap into the New York market, right? See, you have to play it smart and understand the region that you're putting your entertainment in. And Universal's doing a good job at this with their HHN Vegas thing.
Yeah.
They understand, you know what, maybe a theme park isn't the right way to go with Vegas. There's plenty of space. We were just in Nevada. There's plenty of land in Nevada to build a theme park. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but Universal saw that demographic or whatever, that state, and like, well, you know what, a park isn't a right fit, but you know what, we'll do a standalone HHN experience for that Vegas market, which is a smart move. Legoland Merlin, what they should have done with New York is like, okay, we want to get into New York, but obviously an outdoor traditional theme park isn't really that feasible with the weather in New York. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, and especially an hour away, upstate New York, that's crazy. So what I would have done if I was Merlin, if I want to tap into that New York market, is I would have done like in Times Square, like the heart of the action, do a Lego experience or something, an indoor, like maybe like a Disney Quest, but for Lego. Mm-hmm. And you go in there and there's all kinds of Lego experiences, and you can build sets with your family, and it's like kind of like a build and learn kind of experience or whatever. It's all indoors. It's right there in Times Square. That's how you do Lego in New York. You have to adapt to the area you're putting your stuff in. You can't put a park like what works in Southern California isn't necessarily going to work in upstate New York. You know what I'm saying?
And this is the problem, OG, is that I think, and Matthew, you know, feel free to agree or disagree with me. Let me know, because you're more familiar with this. Is that I feel that, you know, the company Merlin originally coming from a operational point from the UK, where, you know, where you have different laws, guidelines, whatnot, and the type of parks they have there. Then you come here to the US, and now you have a Legoland in California, a Legoland in Florida, right? Which actually, the Legoland in Florida wasn't a original spot. It took over Cypress Gardens. So when you have two kind of main theme parks, in my opinion, on each side of the coast, like taking out New York for a second, you're competing with the bigger boys, right? And I'm like, even SeaWorld, you're competing with SeaWorld, you're competing with Universal,
and that just that operational environment in all of itself is actually a bit dangerous.
Yeah, well, because here's the thing. I won't say who or like what, but from what I have been seeing personally, is a lot of it is money stuff. A lot of it is, you know, trying to save as much money as possible. And that's, I think, where Merlin as a whole, especially when it comes to the UK parks or some of the European parks, they've been skimping on a lot of these stuff that would make a great guest experience, great safety standards, right? And
the cheap always comes out expensive. It always does.
Exactly. And when you're operating in the US, where it's a very, very well known, very like heavy theme park market, right? You know, you have Disney that came from, you know, California and the United States. It's a heavy hitter, right? You know, you come here and then you have a different operational plan strategy, which I understand. However, you need to put the money in to make your attractions, like not even Legoland, just your attractions, like a great experience for the guest, right? If you have a great experience, people are loving it, they're gonna come stay at your other resorts and whatnot. Now, OG, we're just talking about, you know, kind of the worldwide stuff. I actually want to show you guys something real quick, just to give you and like the audience kind of a good scope of things. All right. So let's check this out real quick. So locations. This is a map.
Wow. So this is all this is what Merlin owns. This is what all their parks.
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy, bro. That is a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, sorry for the super bright white screen. I know it's kind of hard to see, but you got Australia, New Zealand.
Hey, Matthew, you're not gonna. I mean, Ebba, you're not gonna out-white me, bro. You're not gonna out-white me.
Hey, OG, dude, I think I see your name there somewhere.
Yeah, right, exactly. There it is, OG. I'm sorry, I had to throw that joke in there. Go ahead.
Oh, that's funny, but yeah, as you can see, right, they have places like the United States. They have places, all the way across Europe, Asia, New Zealand, Australia. So they have places everywhere. And that's what I meant when I was saying that I think they're spreading themselves too thin because they own all these different gateways and whatnot. And even something like Legoland Discovery Centers, which actually, to get it on the record so people understand, Legoland theme parks as an adult, you can go by yourself. Legoland Discovery Centers, you cannot. You have to have a child with you. Legoland Discovery Center
is just ridiculous.
Well, because the Legoland Discovery Center is really for like little kids and like building, and I think they have a couple indoor attractions, but it's like a miniature indoor Legoland type of thing. So I think that's probably why. But yeah, I do think that they are spread out too thin. I think they're trying to manage a bunch of different type of experiences. In my opinion, they should really get rid of like Sea Life, get rid of Madame Tussauds. I mean, why do you own a wax museum? I don't understand that. Get rid of the dungeons. Like, you don't need that. I mean, I get it. They're trying to be in the entertainment market, so that can kind of be whatever, entertainment attraction or like Las Vegas-y attraction, like again, the towers or whatnot. But I really think if they want to compete in the theme park market, they really need to get rid of the fluff, which are those things. Focus on your Alton Towers, Thor Park, some of those other ones, and then on your Legoland parks.
Yeah, I would agree, Webba. You have to get leaner at least. Cut some of the dead weight a little bit. Like that New York park would be a good place to start, probably. And kind of like get in there and get a little bit more focused. Because it seems like it's everywhere. It's kind of scatterbrained, right? Yeah. Like you're saying. And that's the one thing that I like about Disney is I think Disney has handled at least this element of their theme park market really smart, where they don't just build anywhere and they don't just build like, just dozens of parks. They're very selective as to where they go. There really aren't that, considering everything, they really don't have that many theme parks. They only have Anaheim, Orlando, right? Shanghai, Hong Kong, and Paris, and Japan. So they only have 6 locations worldwide. That's not that many. Comparative to most amusement park or theme park companies, that's a very small sort of roster. But I think that works because it gives them an opportunity to sort of like really focus on each property and really get it right. They're not dealing with, 24 locations, So I think that Merlin needs to kind of downsize, get a little leaner. I would agree with you. And also maybe even a little smarter, like you were saying, like maybe if you want to get into the entertainment stuff, maybe get into like some of this, like what we just saw with Disney Springs, that level 99, right? Yeah. That looks like a cool experience. Yeah. Or the Void. Right, the Void, maybe invest in companies like that, right? And you can put them at various locations. Like Merlin could even put, if let's just say they bought level 99, they would have a property now at Disney Springs, or let's say they bought the Void or whatever. Yeah. I think these would be smarter decisions. I think a lot of the stuff that they're doing seems a little, like you were saying, just a little too spread thin. And I think they need to get lean. And I think with what they choose to do, they need to get a little smarter with it. Like the wax museum stuff. It's like, come on. You know what I'm saying? That's weird.
Do they really need that?
Yeah, right? It's
exactly. And also on top of this, sorry, Matthew, I'll get to you. But real quick, I want to say, when they build a Legoland park, right? For example, they have one in South Korea, okay? Which is cool. However, if you look at it on like Google Maps, it is like so small. you have a hotel. It's basically on its own like island. So you're driving off like the main land of whatever city it's out. I think it's Seoul or I don't remember. But you drive off the main land, you go over water, and then it's like on its own little kind of island basically. It's just a super small like kind of half baked park. And I'm like, well, if you're gonna build a Legoland, in my opinion, Legoland should be a marquee park. That should be like at least for like United States, because again, I know UK, you guys have your main parks over there, or like some of the other parks in Europe. I get that, but if you're gonna build a Legoland, make it a in-depth, fully immersible, high quality theme park. That's what I want as a theme park nerd. That's what I want to see from these Legoland parks, and it looks like going in the future, California will be doing that more so, which is fantastic. But Matthew, I want to get your take on it, man. Like, what do you think with this new CEO and her comments about going forward, trying to improve the quality, the guest experience? What's your thoughts on like what do you want to see or hope that they do?
I just want Merlin to try and bring their UK theme parks up to scratch. Like, I don't think any amount of new attractions can really paper over the problems, especially not with Alton Towers. What they need to do is just try and improve on their maintenance, improve on food quality as well, and also accelerate the restoration of not only the Towers rooms but also the gardens. Because you may be surprised to discover that Alton Towers is actually a very sensitive heritage site.
Really? Why is that?
Because there's a stately home on the site, and also there's a huge garden area to the side of it, which was built in the 19th century.
Wow.
Okay, so Matthew, I'm curious because you brought up food, right? So I'm very curious because again, I'm very curious.
Some people are actually saying that it's even worse than Disney now.
Wow.
Wait, what?
Some people are actually saying that the quality has but however awful the food quality may have been in a Disney during the Chapek years, Merlin has somehow managed to stoop even lower.
Okay, so Matt, I want to ask, do you know if like the Merlin parks over there where you're at, are the employees who work there for the food and beverage, are they third party or are they in-house?
I believe they are. They were in-house until I think it was like 2021 or 22 when when Merlin went to a third-party company called Aramak.
Yep.
Does that name ring a bell?
It does, Matthew. I know that name very well because we have the same thing here. Now, see, so here's the other thing, OG and Matthew, is that in Legoland parks, at least the one here in California, so I can only speak to that one, is that my favorite restaurant here it's called Dragon's Den. It's at Castle Hotel, and actually, Matthew, later this year I'm taking OG and the Italiano to Legoland. So we're gonna have a good time. But that's
just a few months away. We're going in June.
Just a few minutes away, yeah. And that's my favorite like dining location on property. And it is the only, well, besides the other hotel, it's the only sit-down location. And I complain about Disney a lot about this too. I think Legoland needs more sit-down dining locations because everything's turning into a self-service kiosk type of thing. You go up, you pick what you want off a screen, kind of like the McDonald's. You go up, pick what you want, and then you get your food, and then you scan it, and then you go. So the quality of the food has to be up. The guest service and experience has to be up. From what I've seen, it's been kind of hit or miss, really. But I'm very curious, like, as to how will this leadership at the top level trickle all the way through Merlin? Because again, they own all this stuff. They own all this stuff. So what's their priorities? What's the priority going to be? Is it going to be their theme parks or their gateways or maybe?
Well, here's the thing. The new CEO of Fiona, right? Is that how you pronounce it, Fiona?
Fiona.
So here's the thing. Fiona, when did she start? Recently, right?
Yeah, well, so she's been with the company already, but she was kind of like the interim CEO when Scott O'Neill left. So it was just announced like last week or so that she was now the new CEO.
Okay, so now that she's running the show, it's her company basically right now, right?
Right.
We'll get an idea as to what kind of leader she is, because essentially, like you were saying, she still had someone to answer to when she was under Scott O'Neill, right?
Yeah.
But now she's running the show. So, and like you said, and like we've always said here on the channel, these CEOs, the leadership, the new leadership always wants to put their fingerprint, like make their impression like fast and very early on, right? So we'll know very soon what kind of leader Fiona is. Now here, in this statement right here, she says all the right things.
Yeah.
Quality, creativity, right? It's of course. I mean, Chapek would have said the same thing. Okay. Right. I mean, any of these CEOs are going to say the same thing. They're gonna say that we're delivering amazing stuff, right? But at the end of the day, do the actions meet the words? So it's still very new with her being the CEO. So we'll see if that matches, and hopefully it does. You know, we're all rooting for her, obviously. But yeah, I don't take the press release statement that was probably written by her secretary anyway too seriously, because you never know. So I think that we have to wait and see, but we'll know very early on, though, within the first 6 months, I think, as what kind of leader she's going to be, because like I said, she's going to come in, she's going to make a lot of changes because she wants to make her impact really quick.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the changes, because that's the thing. We're already seeing changes, right? We just actually, me and you, we did a video just not long ago about the layoff across the board at Legoland for like their entertainment section.
Right.
Matthew, do you know if the Legolands over where you're at had the same effect on the entertainment for the layoffs?
I'm not sure, but I would say almost certainly.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, again, already we're seeing changes with that, because we're looking here, right? It says with performance, creativity, right? And here's the thing. Great stuff. Like, again, kind of picture perfect CEO, like what was, stuff that OG was saying. I just hope that they actually follow through on this, because I think Merlin Entertainments has a lot of potential that it could reach. However, I think they need to have a more zone in focus on something.
Yes.
And also, not only that, but not be, I mean, to be honest, not be so cheap. If you want to compete in the current theme park market, and I hear it all the time, I hear it, how competitive it is. It's a tight market. That's why all these companies are doing this deal and blah, blah, blah. Well, if it's highly competitive, you're going to have to, start planning to make a better guest experience, which is better in-depth theming, better queues in your rides. You got to have high safety standards and maintenance on your attractions, better food quality, like just across the board. If you want to really compete with these parks, now I'm not saying like you have to be Disney or you have to be Universal, but the quality is what you should strive to be, in my opinion, for the type of park that you're presenting.
That's the level they should aspire to.
Yeah. So, sorry, what was that, Matthew?
That's just generally something that every theme park operator should aspire for.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, we talk about all the time. Times are changing. People want more and more, bigger, better, more in depth, right? And also, OG, you brought it up a while ago too, that the kind of theme park market really, I mean, it's always been a hot thing, right? But it kind of way more blew up, especially Disney, with the introduction of social media.
Yeah.
So, I think if Merlin really got up here and more people went to their parks and they operated their parks like 365 or almost 365, had longer operating hours, none of this like 10 to 6 stuff or 12 to 7 stuff or whatever. I think they would have more vloggers because as people love watching theme park vlogs all the time. They love that stuff, so they would be getting like free like advertisement basically from the fans, so I think there's a lot to be improved that they can do. I just hope that they follow through and again don't cheap out on this. Like you're talking about an industry where you're competing with heavy hitters, and again, it doesn't mean you have to be the heavy hitters, but it means you should be a spot where people say, hey, this looks awesome, I want to go there and experience that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the competition, because we just had news, I think it was yesterday, some news about Universal Kids Park the kid park that they are opening in Texas, Frisco, Texas.
Yes.
Now, it's it's not my cup of tea. It's not my demographic, obviously, but like Universal is getting into this Legoland genre essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, and Universal is a huge entity in the theme park market, literally number 2 to Disney in terms of like optics wise. You have Disney, right? And then you have Universal doing it, right? Now, Universal, the number 2, is essentially getting into this kind of like these kid parks that will directly compete with places like Legoland. Now, I think this is just the beginning for Universal. I don't think they're going to stop with Texas. We might even see one of these kid parks in California for all we know. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they'll put one in San Diego, Carlsbad or something next to Legoland, or maybe they'll, who knows what, you know what I'm saying? But like, maybe they'll put one in Florida, who knows? But the thing is like with that on the horizon, Universal's coming in. Universal's very, very aggressive. We've seen them, how they are right now with their theme park stuff. Legoland needs to start taking it more seriously, because with Universal kind of like, eyeballing this market, I mean, Merlin could potentially lose a lot of ground to this company. I mean, Universal has really stepped up their game with their quality. Now, hopefully this kid park has that quality. I am a little worried about it. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But the potential is there, though, because it's Universal. You know what I'm saying? So I think Merlin needs to really take notice. So,
so Matthew, going off what OG was saying, right? I think a big advantage this Universal Kids Park has IP. It has IP in the park, right? Like they have Shrek, they have, was it SpongeBob or something? Some other stuff, right? These are widely recognized, movies, shows that people love, right? Now, of course, people do like Lego. However, they're like, again, the IP game is what Disney and Universal are in right now. And Legoland's IP or Lego's IP is just Lego, right? I mean, they could probably get some licensing out to have different IPs from other companies integrated as like Lego style. But this is where I actually want to talk to you too, Matthew, about NOG, about Lego itself, right? Because Merlin, again, Lego, it's weird. Lego sold Legoland to Merlin, so Merlin bought it, and then now Lego, the Lego group, I think the Kirkby family or whatever, they now have a ownership stake into Legoland and even Merlin. So it's like this weird like trifecta thing going on. I'm glad that they came back and have some little bit of ownership still, even though they're not making all the decisions, because that has some influence on the more Lego representation in the park, the better. Because Lego, I think, was it last year or the year before, they were the only toy company to have gone up, not down. And, Lego has very good quality control, very good quality on their products, right?
They always have.
They always have. So why aren't we seeing that in the parks? That's my question, right? If I own something, right, and if there was a theme park based off of my IP basically, and it wasn't up to the standards how we produce our product, that would be a problem for me, because
there's only one thing that I think we can put it down to.
What's that?
Micromanagement.
That could do it. Yeah. Micromanagement is a morale and creativity killer, Matthew. I 100% agree with you on that. Whether it's your theme park industry, whether it's just your 9-to-5 job, micromanaging will absolutely kill any business. Well, you have to trust your employees. You have to trust your operations. Obviously, it's not a free for all, right? You got to run it too. But when you micromanage stuff, you really start to see stuff go downhill. That might be the problem. Go ahead, Webba.
Well, here's another one, and I know from experience. But there is too much layers of management. Way too many layers of management.
And that's what Matthew, when he says micromanaging, that's exactly what that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you have to. It's like that movie Office Space. Remember the dude? I don't know if you guys seen Office Space, but the dude makes a mistake and he says, "I have to hear from 3 different managers that I made the same mistake." It's like, all these layers, and it destroys the business.
Yeah. Well, not only when you have too many layers, you also have too many hoops to jump through, because you have to go through this person, and on top of that, you're working with Lego, you're working with Merlin. Then Merlin has all these third-party companies involved. So now you're trying to get these third-party companies to try to follow the vision and operational standpoint that you're trying to do.
Right.
And this is why, like, I'm not saying third parties are bad, but I think a lot of Merlin's parks should be, like, a lot of their operational employees should be in-house for the most part.
Well, and it seems like Merlin is kind of into this third party thing, though, like with their entertainment,
because it's all about the money, and that's where they need to do is stop being cheap in the theme park industry in today's 2025. Okay, you cannot be cheap, man. You cannot be cheap. You have to put the budget in there. And I know stuff is expensive, but I think the reason why Merlin is worried about the money is because here's just kind of how I see it. If not enough people are coming to your parks and you're closed a lot of times of the year, or you're not even open the whole day, well, yeah, that's money that's not coming into the park. So how do you expect to make money? I don't understand that.
Well, and that circles back to what we talked about earlier on in this conversation, where they need to be pickier with where they put these parks. A lot of the reason why they're not open all year is because they put their parks in places like upstate New York.
Yeah.
like come on Lego, I mean, not Lego, I'm sorry, Merlin, what I'm saying, like, be pickier with where you put this stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, Matthew, I'm gonna ask you, from where you're at and maybe Europe, what locations would you cut out? Because here's another fun one. Merlin owns the chocolate Cadbury factory,
Cadbury World.
Yeah,
I'm not sure or if Merlin really needs to own that. They can just sell it back to Cadbury.
Right. Yeah, see, this is like that, and the Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. Like, this is stuff that, like, come on, it's time. Like, you have to get lean, and that's the problem. Because what happens is you own all this stuff you don't really need. The Cadbury factory and the Wax Museum. You cut this stuff out. These are all expenses.
Yeah.
So you can focus on your bread and butter, some of these theme parks, So it's crazy to me that they own all that. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's wild. The stuff I saw they owned, I was like, what? Really? I mean, it's cool, but at the same time, from an operational standpoint, when your other parks are, like, lacking a lot of stuff and you own all this, it's like, yeah, no, you need to take some of that out and condense, save that money, invest in these, because the theme park market is a different world now. Matthew, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the CEO before Scott O'Neill was a UK guy, right? And he was there for
Nick Varney.
Yeah, he was there for like 25, 27 years or something.
Yeah, he'd been there since at least 1992.
Yeah, so definitely that was a needed much change in leadership. And we got change in leadership now. So I think, Matthew, at that time, Merlin was kind of up. They had a different vision, which was the kind of what they had now is with, like, the pocket stuff, I think. But I think going forward, Matthew, they're going to have to really be more condensed and have better operations with their theme parks. So I actually want to ask both of you, because with, like, Alton Towers, Thorpe Park is a very heavy like amusement roller coaster park. What do you guys want? What type of parks would you guys like to see? Obviously, they have Legoland. Like, here's a, do you want them still to own Legoland? Should they sell it back all to Lego? Like, what do you like? How would you guys like to see Merlin operate?
I would personally like them to just do more heavily themed parks like Alton Towers and Chessington.
Yeah,
because I think that really is the bread and butter. And I also, if I am to give my own assessment on my last visit to Alton Towers, it was in 2022. Everything just felt a bit half-assed, to be honest. What happened was the Skyride system, which is their main transportation system, that was closed. And also, over food, it was absolutely awful. And quite a few rides were actually shuttered.
What?
Yeah, it really was awful.
Oh man, see, that's disappointing. And when you have a big name like Merlin, who was the top 3, Universal was the 4th.
It's embarrassing.
Merlin. Like, come on. Like, I get it. You're able to rake in revenue from all these places, but at the same time, you're lacking the maintaining of your core parks. Like, these core parks should be what bring in all the guests, and you'd be making bank money.
Yeah.
But OG, sir, what's your thoughts on should they continue on their core park? Should they make more amusement park style parks? Should they make more theme style parks? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Matthew. That's exactly what my sentiment was with this. They should do heavily themed stuff, right? And that reaches a broad audience. So like, the Legoland is obviously more for kids, right? Or families, I guess, kids and families. Or what do they say, kids with their families or something?
Yeah. So technically, it's children ages 2 to 12 and their families.
And their families. Yeah, the focus is on the kids. So that's cool. That's cool. So keep doing the Legoland thing. Get more immersive with Lego, but do more adult driven stuff too. I mean, I don't mean like I mean just stuff that like older people would like, basically, right? And heavily themed, right? So focus on that, like Matthew was saying, your bread and butter, like heavily themed experiences. Be smarter as to where you put these parks. Be more selective. Weather matters with a lot of this stuff. I get it. You can't always have a perfect. Not every place in the world is California where it's sunny, like 80% of the year, you know what I'm saying? But you can be a little choosier, I think, than what they're doing. Make a little smarter decisions. Cut a lot of the fluff out of the company. You don't need to own the Wax Museum. You don't need to own the Cadbury egg company factory thing. I mean, zero in on what you want. Like zero in on the theme parks. Become more of a theme park, even amusement park company. And get rid of this extra shit you really don't need. And I think they'll be fine. I don't think, to answer your question, Webba, I don't think that Lego needs to pull out of the Merlin game. I don't think so. I think Merlin is a good company. I do. I mean, look, it's not without its flaws, right?
Right.
But I think they're a good company. I think they've done a decent job with Lego, but I just think they need to sharpen their skills a little bit. And now more than ever, I'm telling you, this Universal entry into their market. Universal is going into that Legoland market. Universal is a big player, dude. And this is the thing. Disney is not in that market. Disney doesn't have kid parks. So it'll be Universal versus Lego.
And Disney has little reason to expand into that market.
Very little reason, yes. And I've said many times on the channel, I don't think they should. I think Disney should remain a global destination kind of company. Yeah. I think once you get into these regional parks like that, I think you water the brand down. I've said this before, and people disagree with me, and that's totally fine. I respect that. But like for me, I think for Disney at least, right? You want to be a global destination kind of company. And I think when you start just putting these these very small kid parks all over the country, you kind of you water your brand down quite a bit. And Universal, they run that risk. They really, really do. But, in terms of like the Merlin element here, though, I mean, Merlin should be worried because Universal will not stop at Texas. I guarantee you they will not stop at Texas. They will absolutely expand this kid park concept. And that directly competes with Merlin's main business, that Legoland stuff. So they need to really take notice of that. Start building, like you were saying, Matthew, more immersive experiences, more impressive Lego experiences, and kind of go from there. But yeah, that's what they should do. Yes, cut bait with a lot of this other stuff. I mean, I'm learning a lot about Merlin through you guys, even today. And the fact that they own some of this stuff, like, so unnecessary. Yeah. I mean, come on. Come on,
Yeah. Well, speaking of the competition, right, there's been that rumor going around that that Universal wants to go to the UK, OG?
Oh, yeah, it's not even a rumor. I did a video with Mr. Theme Park Wizard, friend of the channel. Really good guy. Everyone should go absolutely support him on YouTube, Theme Park Wizard. But it's happening. Like he was saying, there's an announcement pretty soon. I think he was saying in the video we did the other day. Ooh. So no, Universal UK is happening. There's in heavy talks with the local government, the whole thing. So
that's amazing, because if that's the case, Matthew, Merlin's going to have heavy competition then.
With that, yeah,
I think they could be in serious trouble.
Yeah.
Go ahead, OG.
No, that's tough, man. I'm telling you, Universal. I think Universal is Merlin's biggest problem right now.
Yeah, because because they're doing the kids park, which is a competitor to Legoland, but the Universal already has some major theme parks established already, right? California, right. Florida. They have was one in Singapore.
Is it Singapore or Shanghai? I'm not familiar.
I thought one was in Singapore, but then they have one in Japan too. So again, like Universal, they're with the main parks, they're kind of doing that global thing, right? Where you have parks at certain parts of the globe where people can kind of reach those destinations. But yeah, I think, oh man, dude, if Merlin's gonna get killed if they don't change the way they operate, they're gonna get squashed like a person by Godzilla, in the UK, because like, dude, like Matthew, Merlin came out of the UK, dude. Like that's and like you get squashed on your own turf by another company, bro, dude.
Well, and what if Universal's very aggressive? What if, let's just say, and I don't think they should, but let's just say, like, let's play the what if game, like, hey, I have OCD, so I'm used to the what if game, you know what I'm saying? No, I do it every day. In my own head. No, but let's play the what if game. What if Lego was sick and tired of the Merlin stuff? Like, they're like, you know what? You're not meeting the quality standard that we are demanding. Like, maybe if they could, like, pull out of their contract. I don't know the details of their contract, but let's just say hypothetically they would. I mean, Universal could swoop in and purchase Legoland. I mean, Universal, we've already seen a desire from Universal to want to do kid parks. So they would gain all those Legoland locations overnight.
Yeah.
With a popular IP like Lego, then you work a deal out with Lego, obviously, to use Lego in their main parks too. You can have Lego in Epic Universe. You can have Lego in IOA. So, but now here's the thing. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't. And the reason why is because what you mentioned earlier, Webba, with Lego owns a piece of Merlin, and it's a very tight relationship. There's a lot of ownership. Like, it's a knot that would be very difficult to untie at this point.
Yeah.
But hypothetically, that would be kind of interesting, though, if Universal were to swoop in. I could see Universal wanting to do that because it would benefit them in that kid park market, like literally overnight.
So going off that though, I was just thinking about this. When a theme park, when a company wants to open a new theme park, right, they have to work with like, like state or country government and regulations and stuff like that, right? Merlin being based out of the UK, here's what I'm thinking, right? Do you think because they know Universal is now coming, right? If like you said, OG, you said it's now in Theme Park Wizard. If it's official that, you're saying it's official coming to the UK, obviously I think Merlin would know this, of course. But what happens then? Where does Merlin put their focus? Because now they have to worry about Universal coming in on their stomping grounds. And
they may have no choice but to just zero back in on the UK.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, Matthew, is do you think they're trying, because they're juggling all these parks in all these countries, and then it's like, oh shit, do we focus on our UK stuff, or do we still have to put some money towards like our domestic parks over here in the United States? Like, what do we do? Because Universal's they're going to come in our country and kick our ass. So
they got to address that. They got to address the UK for sure. And even Disney probably does too. I mean, to be honest with you, Disney's going to have to address the UK situation because they have Disneyland Paris. But the thing with Disney, though, is that they kind of already are addressing it because they're completely reimagining the Walt Disney Studios Park, which is now Disney Adventure World. So Disney's already got a lot of big investment in Paris. Like, that investment ball is basically rolling right now. Right. So by the time the Universal Park comes online, I mean, you're going to have a completely new secondary park, basically. There's a lot of investment that would have been had by then. So Disney is sort of prepping for this, even if not directly, indirectly. But I think that Merlin, they got to take it more seriously, dude. I mean, it's their Universal's
for a rough ride over the next few years.
Rough ride. Yeah. Absolutely. So we'll see.
This is the thing with the rough ride is that OG with the new CEO, right? We won't see the effects of what she does until like a few years down the line, probably.
There's always a lag. Yeah, there's always a lag. I mean, when Bob Iger took over or retook over in 2022, I think it was. Yeah, 2022, right? Mm-hmm. I think it was 2020. Yeah, 2022. It was like November 2022. We haven't really seen the effects of his leadership change till like recently.
Yeah.
Like, and it's 2024, 2025 now, right? So, it takes a few years to, like, once you restructure, once you put these, these new policies in place for the effect, because there's a lag with creativity. When a movie today, I say this all the time, but a movie of 2025 is really a product of 2021, 2022, right? 3 or 4 years ago. It's not a product. It's not a product of 2025. These movies take years to develop. So the decisions that like Bob Iger is making today, you really won't even see the fruit of that until probably 2030, 2029, right? So there's definitely a lag. So yeah, Fiona, she can come in, she can do all this stuff, but you're not going to see the fruits of her labor until probably closer to 2030. So, and that's probably around the time that this UK park at Universal is going to open, probably roughly in and around 2030. So she has to get on the ball with this and really take it seriously. Get that maintenance up. Get that the food quality up. Get your service up. Get new attractions in there, quality attractions. You got to start doing that now, though, because like we said, it takes years to do this stuff. It's not going to happen overnight.
Do we know if this Universal Park is going to be a kids park or like a full on main park?
No, it's a full park. Wizard was saying it's a full park. We don't know what the IPs are, but we were saying that like we think that they're going to go in a different direction with the IP of like, because I guess people from the UK heavily travel to Orlando. Like Universal gets a lot of UK people, right? So like Wizard and I were kind of talking about that, how like they're not going to want to lose that UK market in Orlando. So they're going to provide a very different kind of Universal experience in the UK to still incentivize them to come to Orlando, which is smart. Universal is very smart for doing that. So there's going to be different kinds of IP in this park, but it's a full-blown Wizard was saying it's kind of like an epic universe, like with the park and the park and like the hotel and the whole thing, dude. So we don't know what the IPs are going to be, but Universal does typically pick some good IP. A lot of them aren't their own IP usually. But I'm sure that it'll be a decent slate of IP. They might partner up with some new companies we haven't seen them partner up with before. We have seen Universal do a lot of beta testing with certain IPs, like with this Universal Fan Fest, with like Back to the Future and like Dungeons and Dragons. I wouldn't be surprised if we see like Dungeons and Dragons maybe in this new park. Maybe we'll get more Back to the Future in this new UK park. Maybe we'll get, I don't know, like just properties Lord of the Rings or something. They'll work they'll work with like these other studios or something to put some really unique IPs in there. But yeah, that's gonna be a massive game change. And then you have Disneyland Paris, you got the Universal UK. Now Merlin is like, what are you gonna do? You have to lure people away from the two giants.
Well, on top of that, Matthew, correct me if I'm wrong, but despite Merlin having their kind of popular theme parks like Thorpe and Alton Towers and whatnot, there's not really any IP or recognizable IP in these parks, right? Like these parks are more still like kind of old school built. Is that correct?
Yeah, but that might be a good thing.
Oh, are you saying it might be a good thing because it gives people a different theme park experience
absolutely.
Is not related to IP? Because I know a lot of Disney fans have been complaining, why aren't we getting non-IP stuff in the parks, right? So I think that could probably work to its advantage, right? If they just make it very good, immersive, park only IP from what they build, I think that could be really great. You just got to keep up the quality. But gentlemen, before we go. This was such a great topic and fun video. Thank you so much for being on. Matthew, any final words before we head out?
Not that I can think of.
There is.
OG55. Any final words?
Mr. Matthew Muir in the house. Always good to have Matthew in the house. Thank you for coming on, Matthew. You can find me here on Orange Grove 55, as you can see right here with the beautiful logo. And you can also find me on Instagram, Orange Grove 55. X Orange Grove 55 and Blue Sky Orange Grove 55. And let's give it up for Mr. Webba, host of Webbavision and Web Shots here on the channel. Fantastic job hosting today, Webba. Captain Webba in the captain seat.
Well, before we go, Matthew, where can they find you at home on social media again, sir?
You can find me on Instagram under the name Matthew Thomas Muir, all one word, and then on Blue Sky under Matt Muir 24.
There he is.
There it is. And I just last before we go, I've got to preference this before in the video. Because I keep forgetting to do this. The articles I pulled up were from the Merlin Entertainment website, so go check those out. And thank you guys everybody for watching. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here today. I really appreciate it. And I just one last thing to Fiona Eastwood, the new CEO of Merlin. Please cut out a lot of the management that doesn't need to be there. Upgrade the food quality, the in-depth theme park experience. You're in a heavy theme park, competitive market. Please do better, and the crowds will follow.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. See you later, everybody.
Snapping shots, swinging high, Mr. Webba, the city's alley orange grow where danger hides with web swinging action. He'll turn the tides, dodging bullets, leaping tall. Webba's here to save us all from the villains, he won't fall. Spinning webs, standing.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.